and welcome to another edition of the Archeryshack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
This is podcast 79, and we're back again this week to talk archery, bow hunting, whatever else y'all want to talk about. Let me look up some questions because I hadn't logged in here and looked. We had a good giveaway this past week on a custom tumbler from Muddy Ducks. If you hadn't checked her out, check out, I'll put her link in the description. She makes these super cool custom tumblers. I'm sure y'all have heard us talk about them. And Jeff Lightfoot won it this past week, so that's cool. We gave one away. We're going to announce on the Thursday live what we're going to give away for the month of March, and that'll be cool and tell you all the details about how to get in on that. Had a lot of good feedback about last week's podcast on the colors and stuff. You know, a lot of people I think were kind of wondering what some of those colors look like, so we may try to do more podcasts kind of like that, maybe compare stuff or show stuff off. It seems like, or at least throw one in here and there. It's different, you know.
It is.
And then I need to make a separate video just about kind of what we talked about in that podcast of all the colors and stuff, but that'll be coming sooner than later. Let's see here. Somebody asked us, where's the best place and type of Allen wrench? Where's the best place to get Allen wrenches, and what's the best type? We normally just tell folks, you know, go to your hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, whatever you got, and they'll have them at Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
seems like some people think it's supposed to be just for archery, but it's not. You know what I mean? No. It's just your average. I ordered a couple to put in here because, you know, I always thought, well, people just already have them from Lowe's or whatever, but people kept coming in and asking for them, so I stuck a few on the wall. But, you know, there's really no particular brand. I mean, there's some junk Chinese ones that'll have a little slop to them and all that sort of thing, but most of them are, you know, I mean, a T-handle to me I like better, but it's also, especially if you're like out in the, excuse me, woo, it's not the 19, I promise. If you're out in the woods, it's nice to have a
Allen pack, yeah. I mean, if you got a little workbench set up at home, then yeah, go ahead and get you some T-handles. The Pine Ridge Archery Allen pack is probably the one you want to go with if you're wanting a specific. You know, it's the one that's it has that little 0.5 size Allen head on there that fits a lot of the little set screws on releases and stuff like that, and on some rest. So, you know, if you're wanting a specific one, that'd be the one I'd go with.
Yeah, I agree. Who was it? They made this cool round one for a while, and then the company quit making it, and I hadn't seen any in quite some time. Like, I would by far say get that one.
Yeah.
But I've looked on the internet. Can't find them anywhere. I don't know what's going on with my voice. I had a small coughing fit, as y'all seen. We took a little break, and it's still kind of acting up, but I'll see what happens. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling through emails. I kind of forgot to look these up beforehand because we did that live thing a while ago.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, this is kind of a generic, what's a good workbench to get if I'm starting my home shop?
Man, I don't, what would you say, like a Craftsman Workbench or something like that, maybe, depending on what?
Yeah, I mean, either like something you could get at, say, Harbor Freight or Craftsman Workbench, or even like one of our bow presses is on like a rolling Craftsman toolbox, and that's nice because, I mean, we could even if we wanted to, put a vise on the top, and you got all the drawers to put all your tools in. So either one, it's just according to what all you got. You know what I mean? Like,
or if you got some wood, you know, some extra lumber laying around, you can just build you a small table.
It's I mean, I like our setup on our main table. We put carpet on top of it, so you can't, if you were to lay a bow on it, you're not going to beat and bang it up too bad and that sort of thing, and you got plenty of room. But if you're limited on room, you know, the rolling toolbox may be the way to go. But let's see here. I know one podcast, so it seems like a common theme. Mainly, I can't talk, maybe because we carry prime, but a lot of people just always ask about the double track thing on the prime and what's, we may do like a almost complete podcast and just talk about that.
Yeah.
Get into that. Let's see. Somebody said seems like the QAD rests have lost a lot of popularity. What's everybody going to?
I would say they're going to limb driven. I've noticed that trend myself. Everybody, Hampski, Vapor Trail is your two big names. Does Trophy Taker still make that one?
They do, yeah.
Okay. But your big two names out there is Vapor Trail and Hampski. And, I shot a QAD for a long time, and me and Jeremy both was like, well, you got that longer activation cord that hooks to the limb, and we're like, well, in the hunting situation, you're walking in the woods or whatnot, that thing's going to get snagged on everything. Well, Jeremy over here got one and he pretty much said, this is the way to go, and I was still kind of like, I don't know, and I ended up buying one and put on mine, and I'm like, I should have done this a long time ago. Well,
I'll be honest, what really caught my eye was George Riles. I don't know if y'all follow him or not, but he's done a lot of stuff in the archery industry, great coach, and owns a shop down toward Atlanta and all this. But he had posted several years back now that he had done some long distance testing on his tournament bow with his lizard tongue style rest versus the limb driven deal, and said he's seen a noticeable difference. And usually he's just a good old boy, but he's done it all. He's been a designer for multiple companies and just all sorts of stuff. You can check him out too he's got some stuff on YouTube. But when he said that, I was like, okay, I really trust what he says, and he's not one to he's not sponsored by anybody to say that and make, so people will buy it type thing. And I was like, okay, we need to check into this. So I went to it and I was happy, and then now we've all got them pretty much, but yeah, definitely a big trend on the limb driven.
And most of your QADs is coming in somewhere around that 130 to average 130, 150. And they make the ones that are with the Matthews integrated into the riser. I think they're going for what, $200?
Something like that.
Your top of the line Hampski Trinity Hunter is running $200. Your Vapor Trail Gen 7X is $200. So, if that's, Hampski's even come out with that primer rest this year, and it retails for $130, and it's a pretty jam up rest.
Yeah, it's still solid. Randy asked, do either one of us have any archery related tattoos?
Mm-mm.
No, we don't. Either one of us have a tattoo at all.
No.
I have honestly considered it multiple times, but I don't know, I don't want to. I think one or two things are gonna happen. I'm gonna get it and be like, I wish I'd have done it different. Or I'm gonna get it and be like, I want 20 more. But I've considered an archery tattoo multiple times, just never done it. I'm not scared of needles or whatever. I just don't want to. I don't know.
That's like me. I want one. I have an idea in my head what I want. But from what, I haven't went and sat down and talked to them or anything. They said that's the best thing to do is if you got something, find somebody that can draw and, tell them what you want. Then you can take it to a tattoo artist or what, and, and they can tweak it or whatnot. And that way you're good to go. But I just hadn't thought any more about it.
What's the new Spot Hog, just rambling here, they came out with a new deal.
The triple stack.
It's kind of like their 2-pin stack thing they've already got, like on, just for example, the Fast Eddie, but now they've got it with a 3-pin.
And three pointers.
Yeah, so like you set your top pin on 20, your bottom pin, or your second pin might be on 32, and your bottom one might be on 41, or just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea. I might have to get a couple to play with and just see. I just know they're a decent amount more money. And I know that won't deter too many people, but, you get up $300+ and stuff. That's a lot of money for a sight.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I'm happy with the double pin.
Yeah, me too. Me too. How can I remove the lettering from my limbs? Alan asked that. I've never done it, but I have read that you can take, I guess, acetone or fingernail polish remover and gently get it off there. But I would be careful because you don't want to take the the base layer of color off. Like if you got a black limb with white writing, just the guy to actually look up on Facebook that could tell you a lot about this is Tracy Meeks.
Mm-hmm.
He's done that a lot and done all these custom designs and put different decals on there and that sort of thing. But one time he had like an in-depth thing on there of how to do it, and I'm pretty sure he said fingernail polish remover with a little cotton ball.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't know why my voice keeps going out. Let's see here. What's the most common archery-related injury? My shoulder's starting to hurt. I'm in my early 50s. Wondering if I should back my poundage down. I mean,
I can't think of just one specific. Yeah. I mean,
I would definitely, like, as I've got a little older, like I could see where a warm-up stretch or something would be more beneficial because I can feel it if I just start shooting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, as far as shoulders go, I mean, definitely. You want to be careful to not tear a rotator cuff and get into that mess, and then you won't be able to shoot or whatever. But
yeah,
you know, it's almost one of them. You want to talk to your doctor about it,
yeah,
and see what they say, because I mean they can do an MRI type thing. I used to work in the OR. They can do an MRI and kind of tell you what's going on, because you know if you're starting to get a tear, you're just going to make it worse. It's probably not going to heal itself from what I've seen and experienced. So it's one of those, you know, if it's not too bad, you might could get away with backing your bow off, or you might just need to get it fixed. And I mean, I know people that's got different shoulder stuff fixed, and I mean, it takes a while. Even John Dudley, I forgot, you know, a couple of years ago, he had his shoulder fixed, and I think he shot left-handed for a little while, and then now he's back full blast. But I think, you know, you're going to be looking at probably about 9 months to a year to get back to kind of where you're at, you know what I mean? Because you have to build that shoulder back up and then get your poundage up and that sort of thing. But that's, I'd talk to the doctor, because like you don't want to tear it up worse than it already is if that's the problem, and it may not be the problem. You know, it may just be something else. But
I mean,
be careful.
I don't think there's. I mean, like. Now, if you'd have said a crossbow, then, you know, we could say people getting their thumb shot off and stuff like that.
Well, as far as like I think he's mainly asking about a shoulder, but, I mean, injuries probably smacking your arm, you know what I mean, that sort of thing. But let's see here. Bought a bow from a guy offline. He provided tracking but never shipped it. Is there any way I can get my money back?
If you use PayPal goods and services, yes.
Yeah, we'd need a little more information of how you paid for it. As long as you didn't PayPal it friends and family, you're good. But a lot of people do that, and a lot of people get screwed.
Yep. Always use goods and services.
Yeah. Let's see here. What size field points... What diameter field points fit a Easton Axis?
9/32, ain't it?
Yep. 9/32 is going to be your go-to. And then just talking about that, you know, normal carbonara is a 5/16. Used to, when we did a lot of aluminum, it was 11/32. Let's see here.
What was the ones that we used the 21/64 on?
They're a little bigger. I think it was when I think it was when the PSE eras had that really big flare on not the new red inserts, but the old silver ones.
Yeah.
And they flared out so much that I think it took a 21/64 to be flushed with that flare, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember we didn't run many of them, but I do remember having them.
I remember, I still got some, but you had to get different glue-on knock sizes for the old aluminums that didn't have a bushing. You know, you had to glue them on and all, and you had to have the right size for that. And I always tried to keep those in, and I kind of miss aluminum airs sometimes, but I don't miss them as far as us having to stock 10,000 different sizes. You know what I mean? That's the cool thing with carbon.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We had a guy come in, or TJ did today, and his bow was kind of all over the place and that sort of thing. It's kind of a cool story because TJ, you know, we got the cam lasers and all this fancy stuff. TJ did all that and got everything timed and not leaning and all that, and it shot a bullet hole, and the guy was...
he was tickled.
He was wound up.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, have y'all seen the people using bicycle stands as bow vices on Archery Talk? I have, and honestly, I've meant to order one just to try it. And what it is, it's actually a bicycle vise, and I don't know if they still this price or not, but they had them on eBay for what, like $20-25?
Yeah,
it was cheap.
They had some you could get with a stand, come with a tray and everything for like $40, and I've been meaning to get one for the house myself.
It's made to where it would clamp around like the frame of a bicycle, but people are using it and clamping it on the grip of their bow or on the stabilizer. I've seen that mostly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And but I hadn't tried it, but it looks like it does work, and it would be is Beeman out of business? So Beeman had been bought out by Easton a good while back, and Easton, I think last year, wasn't it, said we're going to do away with the Beeman.
Yep.
Because, I mean, really all they were doing, like, you had your Easton Axis and you had your Beeman. It was the same arrow, just a different writing on it, same arrow.
Yeah.
Then you had there was just so many arrows, they were just putting a different, logo on. I think they finally just said, okay, let's just do away with this. And I hate that because, like, the Beeman name's been around so long.
Yeah.
But I understand why they did it. But, yeah, Beeman, you'll probably see some around for the next few years in, like, big box stores.
Mm-hmm.
But they're done.
Yep.
Let's see. Somebody had asked about the prime quivers, and maybe we could give them the rundown on prime quivers. If you got a prime bow, they got a cool quiver with a Sherpa mount, and I like the mount idea, but the quiver itself, I just feel like it's missing something. It's not. It needs to be more refined. I don't know. It's just a kind of a bulky, just regular old quiver for the price it is.
Yeah,
I just feel like something ought to be. I like the mount though. That's what sucks. But I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. I mean, what are them things? 100 like 160, 160, 170, right, something like that. I mean,
we've ordered some, but I don't stock them.
No, I mean, I like the Conquest Talon quiver myself. That's probably
me too.
My favorite quiver by far right now.
I've never shot a lens before. If I were to go to a lens, will it make me shoot better? Thoughts? It's not going to make you shoot better. Honestly, I've seen people go to lenses and shoot worse because you see all your movement and it just makes them extra shaky, I guess. But
you get a little target panic.
Yeah, and you'll freeze below the target and do all this crazy stuff. It's something to play with. Maybe, I think a 4-power is probably the most common.
Yeah.
But if you were to go to a 4 and then hate it but want a lens, maybe try 2s, because a 2 is not, when I've shot a 2, which has been rarely, but it's not much difference. You know what I mean? But let's see. Somebody said, can I use hot melt glue on my carbon arrows? No, I know a few people still do, but ultimately what you're doing is that carbon's held together with like a resin, and you're heating that resin up and you're causing a possible crack to happen, or it might be 20 shots down the road or 100 shots or 1,000, but you're just weakening that carbon. Now they do make I think it's Boning or somebody makes that cool
melt.
Yeah, cool melt, and I've seen people use it. You know, if I was set on using something like that, I'd go with the cool melt. But
yeah, because you don't want to put any more heat than you really need to on a carbon shaft of any sort.
Yep.
You really don't want to heat the carbon up at all. I mean, so
the only time we kind of heat up carbon is if, like, let's say a guy comes in and needs his arrows cut shorter. We'll typically put an old field tip in, and it's good because if he needs them shorter, we're going to be cutting them off anyway. But you know, we'll put the heat on the very tip of that field tip, slowly let that insert get a little hot and ease it out. And then, like I say, we're going to be cutting some more off, so that's good. But even then, you know, you'll see occasionally one will crack or something.
Or unravel.
Let's see here. Somebody, I think we talked about this the other week. Somebody said, has anybody heard from Cool Hand Luke? Have a Prime CT3, would love to get one of his string stops, but can't find him.
What he said, he had the COVID.
A while back, he said he had the COVID, but I tried to get a hold of him back in like September, August, somewhere last year, and I could not find him or get a hold of him. And just from what I've gathered through posts on the internet, I think he got way behind on those string stops, and I don't know if he just said heck with it, or if he's still trying to make stuff from orders from months ago.
I think somebody had actually talked to him and put a post in some group on Facebook that said that he was having a hard time getting the material.
Okay.
So I don't know. Now, this is Facebook we're talking about too. So
it would be nice if he would post somewhere, because if he has, I hadn't seen it.
I hadn't either.
Because we've had a lot of people ask and stuff. But as far as we know right now, he's not making anything. And what everybody's kind of going to instead of him right now is the high-tech string stop. And I think you said you had a CT3. The cool thing is they're starting to match their stabilizers and their string stops to Prime's colors. So check out high-tech. It's HITEK string stops. They can definitely, and theirs kind of does the same thing as his. And on the inside of the rod, they're putting like a sand in there or silicone that kind of takes out even more vibration. So I've ordered a few, thought they were good, so check them out. We actually need to order a couple and just put in the shop, I guess.
I need to order a couple for my bows.
Let's see here. Looking to get into 3D archery, what is a typical stabilizer setup that I would shoot? And he's wanting to shoot like the open class.
What did you say, 2812, 2814?
Yeah, like a 28 or 30 front bar. And like TJ said, a 12, maybe between a 12 and a 15 side bar. And it's one of those, like, you know, the longer the sidebar is, you don't have to put it out as far, and, you know, with the same weight type thing. It's just preference. I mean, if I was just going to say, get this, I'd probably say 28-12. You know what I mean? 28 front, 12 side. And then weight-wise, what do you think? Just get you a couple ounces for the front, and then get you probably, just to play with, a good 10 or 12 for the back. And then just move stuff around, you know what I mean? Like me, I like my bow to kind of float almost back heavy, but a lot of people don't like that. They do better with a front heavy bow, and that's just preference, you know what I mean? I can hold steadier when it's front heavy, but I start holding below the target, so I can't deal with that. But
I guess I'm weird. I run no front weight, but I think I run 8 off the back. But it balances good. It holds good for me, so I hadn't really monkeyed with it. Right
now on my CT9, I think I got 4 on the front, 4 or 6 on the front, and I got like 12 or somewhere between 12 and 16 on the back. I can't even remember, but yeah, just get some weights to play with. Shoot it. You know, my advice on that would be to just, you know, shoot it 50 times, 100 times. take a break, change them around a little bit. You know, to me, there's no exact calculation of how to do it. I mean, what you normally see is kind of what about roughly around here, we see about 3 times the weight on the back than the front.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know if you watch some of these pro shooters, I mean, they're shooting 20 or 30 ounces on the front. There's no way I could deal with that. But
they're also probably running tungsten weights too.
Yeah.
So they can put a lot more weight and not have a big honking stack out there.
Let's see here. What's the best center serving to replace on my bowstring? I've got a factory string. The only thing wrong with it looks like he's saying the only thing wrong with it is the center serving needs to be replaced. I'd get probably an 021 size. The most common is like a 62XS from BCY. It's a decent center serving. Our favorite is an Angel Majesty. And then you could go Power Grip. Now, Power Grip runs big, so I'd go a .018 in the Power Grip. But any of those will work.
Yeah.
If just general size, a 021 is what you want to get. Let's see here. What arrow setups would we recommend for the Total Archery Challenge? I think we've talked about this before.
That's what we ought to do on one podcast right before we go is show what gear we're taking and kind of do setups.
We can do that.
That'd be interesting.
Most people set it up sort of like you would a field tournament bow. You're going to be shooting long distances. You don't want the wind to be a problem, so you want a skinnier arrow. You know, Total Archery is known distance, so weight's really not a big deal. But at the same time, I don't want to shoot like 1,000 grain arrow.
No.
So pretty much a skinnier arrow, kind of a middle weight is probably ideal, and that's about it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much from what we seen when we went, it was everybody shooting their hunting bow.
Yep.
I mean, it was basically their hunting bow setup, so you don't have to have anything special. You know, you don't have to run X impacts or Easton axis. I mean, you can run a standard carbon air and, you know, you're going to be fine. I mean, just regular old hunting setup.
Yeah. And I mean, you could shoot a fat arrow if you want to shoot your 3D setup. You just kind of want to hope the wind's not blowing or whatever. Yeah. And I would say pretty much be able to shoot a target out to about 120 yards. You know what I mean? Again, you don't want a super heavy arrow because we shot a 116-yard buffalo.
Yeah.
And about half the boys in our group had no clue what to do and was just randomly flinging arrows. But luckily, we'd kind of got it ready beforehand. But that's pretty much the gist of that.
Which we need to get a hold of our boy and see if we can get a hold of some of them John Dudley tapes that they come out because they
go to 120.
They go to 120.
Yep. But yeah, and let's see here. Somebody said they've got a Traverse. Cannot get a right tear out of it whatsoever. What would I need to do to shim my cams on that bow? It's got a top hat system. So if it's kicking to the right, you move your cams to the right. If it's kicking left, move your cams to the left. I would just look and see which side the thicker one's on. If it's kicking right and the thicker one's on the right, I would just flip my top hats. You know, you're going to need a press, take the cams off, obviously. The top hats actually fit inside the limbs. Just pop them out and flip them. If that's not the case, they make a kit. You can get it from Lancaster. I'm sure a Matthews dealer would help you out. But move that cam to the right a little bit. That'll be the way to fix it. If I always, like, when I get to that point, I'll shoot a couple different arrows to make sure spine's not a problem. I'll try, maybe even try another rest, just whatever. When we get a super problem bow, we'll change arrows, we'll change shooters.
Yeah,
we'll put a biscuit on it just to say this is the most simple thing there is. Let's see if it still does it after that. Okay, now we need to start, and that's just after all the basic rest tuning and yokes and this, that, and the other type thing. Shimming's kind of the last resort.
Yeah, and then if, swapping a top hat don't work, you may have to swap the top limbs to see, the flexion numbers may be a little bit off, so you may have to swap them. But, pretty much trying to shim one or switching, flipping limbs, that's normally the last resort options.
Yep. And we see it once or twice a year about the limb flipping.
Mm-hmm.
But usually that's not what you need to do. But like TJ said, if nothing else fixes it, what else do you do? But
yeah.
Anyway, that's about all the questions I've seen. Sorry, my voice has been crackling and cutting out and coughing, and I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting sick to my knowledge, but maybe I just got something. It's like something hit my vocal cord and then it was like itching it or something, but I don't know. But yes, Thursday night we'll have our information on the giveaway for March. And congratulations to Jeff on winning that tumbler.
Yep.
For February. That'll be cool. We'll have to get some pictures posted of it. It's up to him on what design he gets. So
yeah.
We'll have Muddy Duck send us some pictures maybe and post them. And we don't forget, if you're on Facebook, we got the Friends of the Archershack group where we try to kind of occasionally post some stuff and chat with folks and that sort of thing. And
I'm still the world's worst about not posting in there. I'll think about something and I'm like, well, let me go in there, and then I get doing something else and I forget.
I'll get on there, and I've noticed some people that listen will get on there, and I'll see that, and that'll get conversation started. So it's been a little better, but we're slowly growing that group. But anyway, we'll get off here, and we'll see y'all. Let's see, this is Tuesday. We'll see you Thursday night.
Yep.
And if y'all got any questions or anything like that, just put them below or email them to us or whatever you want to do, and we'll talk about them on the next podcast. And we'll see y'all then.
See y'all.